Hi all, welcome to part 3. So I'm going to show now hopefully two game examples, high quality Grandmaster games, showing how white maybe can play the position and not just rely on this like c5 potential outpost on the c-file. I think this game in particular shows how these pawns can cause damage structurally to black's pawns. It seems a bit of a maybe dull, not that exciting objective, but I think that's one of the main ways of playing the position. So after knight d4, black, it seems to be this lunging move is quite aggressive. But here, bishop b2 or rook b1, I think is fine. In this game, it was between Lajos Portish and black was Lebojevic. I think it's how his name is pronounced, Lebojevic. So it was in Thessalonica 1988. White played rook b1. So I think White's got in mind already that he's going to use these pawns to sort of kind of batter black's pawn structure. After knight takes f3, bishop takes f3. The removal of that knight for the f3 knight means that bishop is now targeting b7. So what does black do about it? Black plays c6. And now white plays b5. So this is clearly looking like a minority attack plan. And after rook c8, white plays a4. And now after black castles, a5. So potentially maybe there's a threat of also a6. Black played knight d5 here. And here actually a6 may be a bit over ambitious. Let's have a quick look. A6, maybe black can take, and this is harmless for black. Taking here, black's although the pawn's doubled, black's is a pawn up, and better. But so what was played was more accurate. Just b takes c6. So white is trying to leave black with an isolated pawn and also isolate this pawn. So after b takes c6, we also have now that other idea I mentioned, the c5 square can be used in some variations. But first, white seems to be trying to trade the dark squared bishop. So once that dark squared bishop is removed, this is going to be easier to exploit. So queen a4 has the idea now, bishop a3. So queen c7, bishop a3. So it's very clear positional play from white. Mixing in a way the minority attack, or just to cause structural damage, keeping in mind the c5 plan later. So rook b8, now exchanging off the dark squared bishops. Now rook fc1. So white has a really pleasant position and structurally is better off. Black has these isolated pawn issues, but c5 is also a key square for white to use. So h6 and now queen a3. So some nifty queen maneuvers here, just strengthening control of the dark squares. Knight f5, e3. So white doesn't want another knight, pesky knight, going into d4 anytime soon. After knight d6, another pawn structure change, d3, just to try and make sure c4 is also unavailable to black. Bishop f5, and does white really want to commit a pawn to e4, weakening d4 again? Well, he takes that decision. He plays e4. After bishop h3, he now plays queen c5. It's just balanced by white's dark square pressure. So, is this really exploitable by black? No, because there's not enough, piece pressure. So it's black's, dark squares and the isolated pawn being under pressure here. And after this rook exchange, knight b7, queen takes a7. It seems, black is being dragged in quite ominously into an inferior endgame. So after the queens come off, knight a4, and again, white has all the positional trumps here. The active rook, the knight holding c5, but white has, I suppose, this liability on the d file still. So how does black play from here in the best possible way? If he did play rook d8, let's have a quick look. Rook d8, knight c5. So that's holding up the d3 pawn. And white's definitely better according to Rybka, but not by too much, 0.65. In this position, Let's have a look at an example variation. Does black have to play bishop c8? To be honest, I can't actually see a clear plan for white here. Maybe this is one of those positions you really just want to slowly grind the opponent and wait for them to break. White is better though, but I just can't see a clear plan. It's just the grinding position. Let's go back. After knight a4, c5, bishop g2, black obliged to get the bishops off. So out of all that, I'm playing the opening really well. Sometimes, perhaps you have to consign yourself to just, you're playing for a better endgame position, and here it's slightly better for white. And white snatches a pawn. So after rook b8, the rooks come off. So white's a pawn up. And the rest is kind of technique. So for move 33 to 74 now. So I think I'll just whiz through this. I think the opening phase was just interesting to consider there. That the minority attack plan had this longer term positional plan of just either winning a pawn or having a better ending. So white basically got rid of his d3 pawn there, and now there's just a lot of pressure for black in this ending. So h5, and now white takes the h6 pawn and then loses his h5 pawn, but he's going to be 2 pawns up now after king g4, and with 2 pawns that's enough to win this without black sacrificing the knight. So white slowly pushing black back now, just 2 pawns up. After f5, black had enough, in fact. So he can't take here because knight takes, king takes, and now king g5, and the pawn's coming home. But let's just quickly whiz to that opening position. So a3, bishop e6. This is, an aggressive system for black, but rook b1 is definitely a playable move here. So this was Portish against Lebojevic in 1988.